This should be a 5 out of 5 stars book. Hi! Welcome to this video of reading reactions. I've been considering doing a horror for this video until I decided I'll be too scared to finish it, so maybe next time. Instead, I decided to read this epic tale of wrongful imprisonment, adventure, and revenge, aka The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. This book is insanely long, like War and Peace long. It has more than 1,200 pages, which will take me at least half a month. Nevertheless, I am still excited for it because I heard that once you pick it up, you won't be able to put it down. The last time I had such an experience was when I was reading Alchemized. Those of you who have never read Alchemized, go read the goddamn book. Let's take one last look of this fresh, clean, spotless, and good smelling new book before I smear it with my hand sweat. Go! Man, this is just so heavy. So cute. Guys, this is catcore. Hi people, this is insane, but I didn't read a page today and I decided to cut my hair because it's getting hot. Just remember what I look like now. And once you've tried the short hair, there is no turning back. Your hair will only get shorter and shorter. Good afternoon. I slept all the way through the morning, but I am finally gonna start the reading. I'll try as far as I can go. Hopefully I'll do 150 pages or so. And I will update you with my reviews depending on how far I could go. So let's get to it. What? Nice arm length. We are currently at page 120, chapter 14. I am reading at a speed much slower than I had intended. I needed to stop from time to time to check out the historical facts, the words, the terms, since I knew no more than Duolingo English. This is a book that is classic and has already been professionally analyzed and decoded by countless attempts. So I am not gonna tell you what this book criticizes about or who in this book represents what. I want to show you what I feel while I am reading this book and my simplest thoughts and crazy ideas, so you can decide whether you want to read it or not. At the beginning of the story, we have our decent good guy, also our main character, Edmond Dante, and his fellow sailor Danglars, who is apparently a malicious thing, gripped by demon of hatred. You can feel that at the first 50 pages of the book, the characters are just mainly divided into two groups, which is a group of good guys close to Dante and a group of bad guys surrounding Danglars. Speaking of Danglars, he is a very interesting villain protagonist. When you first meet him, you think he is a brainless cliche, being evil for the sake of evil. Later, you think he is more naughty than cruel, like the Tom in Tom and Jerry, you know what I mean? Curling his lip maliciously, contemplating bullying our good Dante. And then you think he's funny, because he's like always talking to himself, you know, muttering venom under his breath, talking shit about his comrades inside his little bully group, and he loses it from time to time, so he can't help but roast others out loud, which makes him even more comedian-like. Another important character who shows up later is Villefort, who I think is also very interesting aside from Danglars. Yeah, I have a preference for the bad guys. Villefort is partly from the upper class, but has a mindset of a petty bourgeoisie, so you can find contradictory things happening at the same time on him. If I have to compare among the most important characters in this book, the most boring one so far is, unluckily, our main character, Dante. But I think I am about to definitely change my mind later when he walks out from his Fernal, you know, like Daenerys Targaryen, which I am really looking forward to. The real difficulty that I have reading this book up until now is the political background in early 19th century France. I know about as much as you know of Napoleon, the Bourbon Restoration, Napoleon's final defeat at Waterloo, and his exile. But since I am not French, I don't have a clear idea about the details of what was happening between the Bonapartists and the Royalists. And I am definitely never aware of how things have an impact on the common people or the justice system at that time. The language stays translated and very staged, which is only acceptable because, you know, this is Dumas and this is originally French, and this is very closely related to history and politics. It is definitely not easy to read. So if your English/French is not that good and you are not interested in 19th century France, this can be a count for you. I just want to show you guys my cat. Little devil she is. Bought it from IKEA, and you can stand up while you're reading. As you can see, I'm about to do something that I look forward to the most during an entire week, which is a badminton. And so today I'm gonna change the grip for one of my friends. I'm gonna lend this racket to her. This is the first time that I do it with a like in a left-handed way. Remember to change your grip. Look what happens. I used to play with my right hand, and then my shoulder got dislocated. Sad story. And the doctor told me that if this happens once, I mean dislocation, it could happen twice. I was like, okay, I'll just change it to my left hand. Out of it. Today is May the 4th, whatever. Happy Labor Day, guys. Whatever jobs you're in, you're a worker, salaryman, businessman, whatever you do, happy Labor Day. It's your day. So jokes on me. I did 0 pages of reading for the past week, maybe, for the sake of the holiday, of course. So I don't have anything to say about the book, except that I am going back to it. I'm just to deliver this message. Happy Labor Day. And enjoy your holiday. Make sure that you don't labor on your holiday, okay? Promise me? Okay? Okay, bye. Laurel is doing this to me again. What? Yes! Yes! It is a story. Page 577. I never expected. Is there a love triangle? Wow! This is thrilling. Oh my god. It's him. Yeah. I finally passed page 600, which is maybe halfway through the book. A few thoughts. Okay, about the characters, I have 3 characters to be my favorite. One is the Abbé. I think the Abbé is a perfect image of a perfect intellect who knows a little bit of almost everything. My second guy would be Monsieur Morel, who is an ordinary guy but has a heart of gold. My third pick would be our Dante, or the Count of Monte Cristo himself. What attracts me about him is not how he was or how he is at the moment. It's about his ability to transform and change himself from this very simple-minded, naive and puppy-eyed Dante into this very cool, composed and collected, handsome guy who speaks very little, but when he speaks, he utters killer lines. And about the other characters, I've heard complaints about this book regarding to the fact that it has got too many characters, which I think is fine. Yeah, there are many names, there are many families, there are many houses, but it's not likely that you're confusing them all the time. Well, actually, I like this building of the characters because if you push on even like a little bit of reading into the later part of the book, maybe like 550, you can see that these people are really just fucked. These people are so messed up. Like, there is a invisible net that connects every one of them. I am actually anticipating tragedies, comedies, and sad love stories. About the scenes, my favorite scene would be the execution scene from page maybe 400. Can you hear the kids screaming? Use guys. In that scene, Dante talks about death, and more than that, he talks about the human nature unveiled when facing death. It basically says that all negative emotions and feelings that we humans generate as a social animal, like hatred, contempt, and rage towards others, towards the society, towards the whole system, partly comes from comparing ourselves with others and realize that we're not well treated as the other. Normally, you will accept the fact if, supposedly, you cheated in the test and got caught and failed the test, right? Like you deserve it, right? That makes sense. But you will be hating your school, hating your teachers, hating your classmate, or maybe develop a antisocial personality if you got caught cheating in an exam and all the other person who cheated weren't. In this case, you will only think, why am I the unlucky guy who got caught instead of to mend for your mistake? I'm talking crazy, but I think that's my point. It is 9 p.m. I did nothing this afternoon except for reading. I'm afraid I might have to take back what I said the other day about how the whole cast of this book does not confuse me despite the fact that it has so many characters. I was so clear about the relations between the characters, but today I was like, oh, I think I remember this name. Who was she? Who was he? Who are they? This person and that person has a thing, but I forgot. I don't recommend you to start this book and put it aside for a while, for maybe like longer than 2 days, or you will come back and find out that you don't remember a thing about the personnel in this book. I am about to reach a breaking point and Duma is still building the tension. I feel like listening to a piece of music and I am experiencing that kind of unharmonic chords which are tearing you apart before the final climax of the resolve chord. I am this far already, which is about page 962 or so. If you ask other people about this book, people will tell you that this book is about a revenge story. In fact, many of my friends have also talked to me about this book, like in that way. But when I hit page maybe 930, the first revenge had been revenged and the second revenge is ongoing. I have to say that I'm not feeling triumphant at all. I don't feel like this is a story of satisfactory revenge. When the first villain is revenged, the count was depicted as calm and sad. Upon reading that line, I went still for like half a minute and I was totally swallowed by this tsunami of nonsense sadness. Now I get the idea that this book is a tragedy. Because when you read past page 900, revenge has probably become the only goal of the Count's life and nothing else is supporting him. But whatever revenges are taken, nothing would ever bring back the Edmond Dante who loved, trusted and hoped spontaneously in his early stage of life. He is becoming the shell of a revenging machine driven by his revenging code, and he is losing the Edmond, which I think is the most tragic part of the book that has not even been written out on paper. You know, sometimes I think that Dante would have suffered less if he just let himself go in the dungeon. You know what? Maybe he did in other parallel worlds, if there are infinite worlds. And this book we're reading is just another alternative world of fantasy which does not exist. Well, that being said, another alternative world of fantasy would be Edmond Dante living happily ever after with his Mercedes and his old man. God, that's so sad. I may or may not have mentioned that the transition from Edmond Dante to the Count of Monte Cristo is what I thought was intriguing and interesting. I have to take it back. It's from this point where I'm at, and that change was just terrifying. He was probably since then started being consumed by this obsession of necessity to complete his revenges. And I also feel sympathy for the female characters in this book. Many of them have very beautiful qualities, but they are repeatedly getting ricocheted when our men are hurting each other. Especially Danglars thought, well, she's a cool kid. She's the kind of person that I would definitely love to be friends with in this 21st century. And also another adorable character I think is Maximilien Morel. The Morels are just a family whose blood is made of honesty, compassion, and loyalty, and pure goodness, which may add to part of the reason why I love Max so much. You know, you can't blame the guy, he's got the genes. So shout out to the ladies in the new generation. We hope a happy ending for all of you. Good morning. We are at checkpoint 1041, which means that I am a little bit more than 200 pages away from finished the book, which I have grown too familiar with holding this book in my hand to do. Nevertheless, I guess I will complete the reading today, and I'm having a lot of thoughts at the moment, which I guess I will share with you after finishing this. And once I've done that, I can go back to my silk song practicing to be ready for the Sea of Sorrow release. I just finished the Count of Monte Cristo. I rested a couple of minutes to collect my emotions and my thoughts. In a word, I loved the ending. The ending certainly explains why this should be a 5 out of 5 stars book, which is a little bit surprising because when I was in the middle of the book, I was actually a little bit reluctant to continue my reading, and I was afraid of realizing this being a glorious revenge story, because that's where I thought the story was going. And I didn't want the Count to lose humanity to become this abstract symbol of providence rather than a flesh and bone human being. So I spent the latter part of the book resisting this idea, and thanks to Dumas for saving me from all of it. No spoilers here, so how he did it is for you to find out. I can only tell you that the last part of the story is a huge emotional twist. And speaking of emotion, there is this line from the last chapter of the book that really struck me all teared up. It was from the Count to Maximilien being It seemed he was not actually speaking to this fictional character, but to whomever was sitting in front of the book and reading. It felt so personal, it felt so directly towards you that it was like a hand was holding out from the pages and stretching towards you to save you from your own desperation. In total, this book is a combination of revenge and salvation for oneself. Although the revenge part is pretty easy to anticipate, it feels good when your anticipations lock in. The use of the mechanism of dog eat dog is very satisfying in this book, and Dumas has his little smart details and coincidences. God, I would love to read a comedy by him. The salvation part is driven by the theme of love. Love interrupted the revenge repercussions on other members of the guilty families, and it provides a glimpse of silver line of the Count's last remaining humanity and vulnerability. What I think is most important and disturbingly touching in this book is the Count's struggle when his revenge confronts true love, how it pains him when his revenge exceeds his intended victims, and how he needed to persuade himself that he also deserves to live in this world. And I think that is the core the book has left with me and wanted me to carry on with. Well, thank you for accompanying me throughout the book. It's been a long time, and I hope you already have an idea about to read this book or not. I'll see you on the next book.